All right. Hello, ladies, beautiful ladies of Girls Guide to Outrageous Real Estate Success. Judy Weber here with Girls Guide and also the co-founder of Libby Success Boutique, the first and only complete real estate coaching and training company specifically for women. And let me tell you something, ladies, if you don't have a pad of paper and a pen with you, you're going to want to grab it, because we are blessed to have Ms. Chen with us. And although she's relatively new to the business, she has so much wonderful insight and truly an inspirational message for us. And she's living out the model that Jan and I kind of envisioned, which is we want you to run your business your way. So I'm not going to give too much away, but I'm telling you, you're going to be blown away. You're going to be surprised. And I think you're going to leave feeling more confident and empowered to go out there and grab the success that you want. So let me briefly introduce Karen, then we'll jump right in. Kara works with Keller Williams in central Pennsylvania, right outside Harrisburg. She is a top performer, obviously. You saw in the write-up of her for the events, she was awarded 30 under 30 recognition from the National Association of Realtors. She is, as I said, relatively new to the business, and she's the mom of two cutie pie young boys under the age of 5, and her baby just turned 1 very recently. As I mentioned, her 2016 production exceeded $12 million, and she bettered that in 2017. We'll talk about that. She has attained a beautiful work-life balance, which I know eludes many of us. And I'll be honest, it eludes me. My boys are much bigger, much older, but I still have not found that work-life balance. So I'm going to be taking notes as well. Kara has built her business her way, as I mentioned, and it's going to be really enlightening for you, because we all hear the noise coming from the gurus out there, most of which are men, that we have to kind of do things in a cookie cutter way. And Kara does things very differently. Excuse me. Kara is a giver. If someone could please mute yourself, please. Thank you. Thank you. We need a clear line. Thank you so much. As I said, Kara is a giver. She comes from a grateful and positive mindset, and she's absolutely a doer. And you know, she's fluent in 3 languages. She has a passion with her church and with music that she's still involved in. And if all that's not enough, in her spare time, I read that she enjoys rock climbing, hiking, swing dancing, riding horses, baking, and here's the best, and I can appreciate this as a lawyer. She likes to practice law school entrance exams just for fun. So without further ado, I'd like to have us all say hello to Kara Chen. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk with you today.
Awesome. Awesome. It is indeed our pleasure to have you here. And I briefly described your background. And one thing that I wanted to briefly touch on, Kara, because I think it bears on the success that you've enjoyed. I understand that you hail from South Korea and that you and your family came here in the 2000s. And I saw somewhere that you mentioned that you saw your parents overcome obstacle after obstacle. They're real overcomers. And so I would think that that has had an impact on you, not only personally, but also professionally. So can you speak to that? Am I right about that?
Yeah. I was born in Korea, and we came here in 1993 because my dad was stationed here in Pennsylvania as a weapons liaison for the 2 countries. So yeah, we ended up staying because of the educational opportunities here. You know, without going too much into it during this call, they had a very rocky marriage, and we had a very troubling family life. And so I think during the time it was very difficult for my sister and for me. But in retrospect, it was a good boot camp for life. And the reason I share that is because I want I think this is a very authentic call.
Mm-hmm.
And I want women to know that regardless of where you came from, what circumstances you were raised in, you have the ability to succeed. And my parents, they're very strong in certain ways, and they're very weak in other ways. And they were certainly not your model parents, but it doesn't matter. They're not shackles. I take the good and I leave the bad, and I learn from the bad.
I love that. I love that because Janice and I also had a rather tumultuous upbringing. Our parents were great in so many ways, but they were far from perfect. And our mother was very, very negative. And I find myself kind of gravitate to that and have that predisposition. And so you have to be really intentional, for me anyway, to kind of just always remain positive. But I so appreciate that because I'm sure we're not the only two that had that kind of kind of upbringing. So I appreciate that. So before we get too involved and lose sight of this, I want to know what your 2017 production was, Kara.
2017, we ended with, I believe it was 61 transactions and 15.2 million.
15.2 million. That is amazing. Now, tell us, do you have a team or was that your personal production?
I am a single agent and I have an admin that helps me. So.
Okay. Now that was interesting too, because so many of us, we have, as you well know, so many things on our plate. Oh my goodness, we'd love an admin assistant, but can you walk us through that? When did you bring on an assistant, and kind of, if you can briefly tell us about that whole process?
My very first year in real estate, I got to a point about maybe 8-9 months in where I felt I cannot do this alone. This is a group project. Mm-hmm. And so I started looking for assistants and made some bad decisions and learned a lot from them. And one time I just put the Tony Robbins DISC personality profile link on my Facebook page and said, if you score high in a C, let me know.
Oh, wow.
My husband works at the Hershey Medical Center, and this one orthopedic surgery fellow's wife shot me her results. And I said, okay, do you want to give this a try and help me out? And she has absolutely doubled my production. I couldn't do it without her, and is absolutely an integral part of my business now.
Now that's interesting. Can you tell us briefly what she does for you more specifically?
I heard this concept about rocket fuel. I heard that there are 2 types of fuels that launch rockets into space. You can't just do it with one. And there's one that gets you, I'm messing this up, but it gets you to a certain level, and then there's another type of fuel that takes you the rest of the way. And so in my business, I feel that I bring in the business and I'm the face of the business, and then she helps organize and carry out the business. So in real estate terms, she does contract to close, but she does so much more than that. Mm-hmm. She helps me organize.
Okay. All right. Is she, I want to get off this and move into something else, but I'm just curious, how involved is she, if at all, in your efforts to find new clients?
None.
Not at all? Okay. Okay. Well, you've achieved so much in so little a period of time. Can you tell us what you think your 2 or 3 secrets of success are? And also, I'm not sure we mentioned, when did you begin in real estate?
I got my license in October of 2014, and I didn't realize at the time that's the worst time of the season to get into real estate. And so I didn't have any business and for about 4 months. So in January, I had my first settlement. So yeah, your question was?
So what, if you could identify a couple of things, 2 or 3 things, what do you think, why are you sitting here today a top 30 under 30 in just a couple of years in the business. What is the secret to your success?
Uh, I was in medical school, for the ladies who don't know, and I love the intellectual part of medicine. I didn't love the clinical aspects. And so I I actually, through prayer, felt that I should not be in medicine and I should pursue real estate,
Hmm.
the short version of a long story. And so I've really found my niche here. We're all made so differently and we have so many talents. And I feel that I was made and I have certain skill sets from my life experience and just from who I am to help me really thrive in this business setting. So to say, one, I believe this is a good fit for me. Okay. Two, I think I have the personality to enjoy challenges. And this is a challenging career. I know everybody knows that. And it's fun for me. And to contrast, my husband is not like that. He's a very nice guy. He's very patient. He likes to be in a service field. He's a perfect doctor. So those two reasons, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Now, before you actually began and got your license, what was your expectation? Were you expecting to be a top performer right from the get-go?
I don't think I thought too much about it.
Okay, that's a good, honest answer. Well, how about this? You mentioned about having mentors, and I was intrigued when I read this somewhere online that it wasn't just real estate mentors. It was also a stay-at-home mom that you very much respected and some others. So can you speak to the mentors that you had and how they impacted your business?
Yes, I believe that when we look around and we see the people who really are flourishing in what they're doing, whether it is as a stay-at-home mother or whether it's a lawyer or a doctor or a meat cutter, uh, you see somebody and when are they are following their passion, to be cliche. And yeah, I think I gravitate towards those type of people, and I just um, wanted to always know why they do what they do or why they're passionate about those things. And so there's just so many things we can learn from each other. There's so many resources in books and trainings, uh, and also in people. So
Well,
one on
I'm sorry, do you think having a mentor or those numbers of mentors that you did have, do you think that is a reason that you have been able to reach the level of success that you have?
Oh, absolutely. Uh, when I was performing in violin in my youth, and I played on the college tennis team in college, I hired a coach or a violin teacher, and I could have never gotten to the level that I did in those aspects without a coach. And so recently in real estate, I hired a real estate coach so that I could take my business to the next level. So we all need to have people to guide us to the next step who've already taken those steps.
Right, right. Excellent. Okay. Well, you mentioned earlier that your first sale didn't come for, about 4 months. So I'm curious, what were you doing in those 4 months prior to getting to your first settlement table?
I immersed myself in the business. I went to the office every day and just observed people. I talked to people. I sat at the desk and answered phone calls, and you just pick things up.
Mhm.
You have to be in it, even if you're not getting the results right away. But don't you think that's life? Everything comes a little bit later. There's a delayed gratification, and we have to be able to be willing to invest that time and effort up front.
Right, right. You have to, it's kind of on the job training. You can study and study, but there's nothing like actually speaking to prospects and clients and dealing with the process beginning to end. And you really only get it when you do it. So did you happen to shadow some of the other top performers in your office during that time?
I did. I went on a few appointments with a couple people, But I must say, I think the best way to do it is jump in and make a bunch of mistakes.
Love it. Love it.
We're all perfectionists as women, aren't we? We want to do
Absolutely.
everything right. Just forget about that. And I have to tell myself that. Just do it. Like today, I feel so unprepared for this interview. I'm just doing it.
Oh, well, don't worry. We're loving what you're saying, because again, you're letting us know we're not the only ones who feel this way. That brings me to my next point. A lot of us are afraid, as you just mentioned. We're afraid of getting the no when we talk to people, or when we call to people, or when we say, okay, I'm going to go to my farming neighborhood and I'm actually going to knock on doors. It could be the scariest thing in the world. So what advice can you give, other than what you've already said, as far as getting a handle on the fear?
You know, you asked earlier about what I attribute my success to, and I think I forgot the most important thing, which is the support of people who believe in you. You absolutely need that. And my husband is an angel. He has supported me since day one. When I was wasting money and didn't make any sales, he said, "It's okay. I've got the babe. Just go to the office and learn some things." And he always believed in me. The owner of my company believes in me. And I think this program that you have, Judy and Jan, this is exactly what you need. You need a group of people who are cheering you on, feeding you positivity, and telling you that you can do it. So I'm sorry, I got like 3 hours of sleep last night.
You're doing great. Well, you're doing great. You're doing great. Let's talk about lead gen, because lead generation is something I would say that is our number one question on the page. So can you tell us, how did you find that first client of yours?
I found my first client from sitting at the office by the phone and taking the phone calls. I forget what that's called. What is that called?
A desk or floor time?
Yeah, that. And it was boring, and for most people, to me, I took that time to look on my MLS and learn the market and practice talking to people, and that's how I got it.
Okay, excellent. After months of working to get your business off the ground, one of your marketing pieces, maybe it was when I read something about your top 30 under 30, you said something about after about, I don't know exactly the time, I guess in the second year, you said things started to click. And there were months when you had as many as 18 settlements. And if I remember correctly, that happened in your second year of real estate. So can you tell us, when you think about that, and I know we're going back some time, what do you think that was that clicked? You know, was it, I'm wondering if it's a mindset or if it's a skill set that allowed you to have that confidence to really, you know, feel things coming together. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Great question, Judy. I believe what changed for me was when I stopped thinking about me and started thinking about the clients. And because really at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's not about me. Why are we in this role? Why are we in real estate? We're in it because we have certain skill sets that's going to benefit other people. And so when you bring that value to your clients, they come to you.
Right.
I don't do any marketing right now. A little bit on Zillow just to have my face out there. I pay $100 a month for Zillow.
Okay, now I was gonna go there because I did see that you are a Zillow Premier agent. I was as well. I was paying about $300 a month to have 14% or so of this zip code. So you're saying $100 a month, and I know the cost of that will vary depending upon kind of where we are, if we're in a metropolitan area versus something else. But how many leads do you get a month through your association on Zillow?
Maybe one or two.
Okay. And do they end up being good leads, like solid, real buyers?
Sometimes. I'd say maybe 20% of the time.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So would you recommend someone just starting out, or really, would you recommend any agent to consider becoming a premier agent with Zillow?
Of course, I can't speak for any other region but mine. When I'm not a statistics numbers kind of girl,
Uh-huh, gotcha.
and my husband is, so sometimes he sits down with me and has me track where my leads are coming from and things like that. And at the end of the day, I realized it doesn't matter where you get your leads. It just matters that you can convert them. So at the beginning, when I didn't have money to buy Zillow leads, I just, again, I sat at that desk and it was free, and I converted many of those. And then when I decided I wanted to spend more time at my house with my son, I bought some Zillow leads, and yes, they came and they were pretty good. I tried some other products, like I think it was Smart Target or something like that.
No, I'm not familiar with that one.
I forget what it's called, and got some leads from that. My point is, there's so many avenues for marketing, and really, I don't think it matters. I think as long as you get a client to your phone or to your door, I, does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Well, I'm curious, because the ladies in our group are really crazy about Facebook. And it's because there's so much noise out there right now. Oh my goodness, if you are not doing Facebook ads, you are never going to make it. Meanwhile, ladies, 10, 15, 20 years ago, there was no Facebook, and people still made millions of dollars in real estate, or hundreds of thousands, right? So I'm just curious, Kara, can you speak to, number one, what, if anything, you do on Facebook? And number two, if you can give us more specifically, where do you find your clients? Maybe it's working your circle or your sphere of influence. Maybe it's, going out and just door knocking. I don't know. But if you could speak to those two specific issues, that would be so great.
Okay. At the position where I am now, I really don't do much marketing. And so my top leads are referrals from past clients, repeat clients, and off of my listings. That's where I get my leads now. However, if you're first beginning in real estate, Zillow, I think, try it, or Realtor.com, I know that they sell leads as well. Sit at your office and take phone calls, or honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I believe the best way to get leads is to get involved in your community. And we're women. Many of us have children, some of them young children. I am in soccer programs, gymnastics. I'm in all these programs, and you sit and watch your kids and you talk to the other moms. I think that's how I get a lot of leads too, and I just am not aware of it.
Okay, because I know you and I spoke about that, and let's jump to there. You mentioned to me on the phone a week or two ago. You said, "You know what, Judy? Now is the time for women. Technology allows us to do a lot, through the computer, where years ago they couldn't do that, number one. And number two, where the kids can actually, not that we're using children, obviously, but we can, right? Hello, we're going to use you as a marketing, gimmick or something. But truly, as you mentioned, you are meeting so many people just by having active kids and going with them to these events. So I'd love to hear your input of how you're able to marry this being a mom of young active boys and still, doing production of, what did you say, 16 million?
Oh, yeah, 15 million. Yes, right now we have access to texting. We have the Facebook, Instagram apps. We can connect with people so quickly. We don't even have to be there. So sometimes you watch your kids and you let them, make a mess somewhere, and you can text your client, or you can see how an old client was doing. And technology really, it has enabled us to be at home and be working, right? I'm just so excited about this age, because regardless of what our beliefs are, we can control to an extent better how many children we have. We can be working from home because look at this, we're having a conference online. And Facebook, to go back to that Facebook question, if you love Facebook, and that is a place where you can find your joy in social networking, then do it. Do it, and do it passionately, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of leads from that. And so I really think this is the age where we should take advantage of the fact that we have so many resources available to us. And again, there is no right way. If you like social networking, do that. If you like to go out and create play groups with children, other moms, do that. If you don't have children and you just like shopping, create a shopping club and do that. You know, it's just, and you can market it. You can be your own marketer. You can be your own publisher. You can make all these products now on the computer, online. It's amazing.
And what do you mean by that, the products online? Do you mean like resources for buyers and sellers? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like you can make your own business cards very quickly. You can make calendars on Apple very quickly. It's just, we have, I don't even know.
So many possibilities, right?
Right. You can make videos. You can edit your pictures quickly from your iPhones. I mean, it's amazing. And we can all partake. We also don't have to get overwhelmed and feel like we have to do everything. Just pick the things that make you happy and really do it.
Right. Well, before we get off this point of, interacting with moms and dads, I'm sure, at the soccer events, karate, whatever you might be doing, I could hear the lady saying, but what does she say? I don't want to come off salesy. How do you even bring up the point that I'm a realtor and I love to help you? So I would love to hear how you interact and how you begin to establish that rapport and ultimately let them know, hey, I'm a realtor.
Okay.
I'm really putting you on the spot, I know. So
no, I'm just nervous because I don't want to say the wrong things for you, Judy. as in, I don't think I'm the your normal real estate agent. In terms of, I'm not out there markety. The fact that I'm a realtor probably doesn't come up in our first few conversations.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought you would say. And see, and that's the point, I think, and I want you to elaborate on this. I don't mean to interrupt, but I think this is an important point, ladies, that just whether we're out with the kids somewhere and we're talking to other adults, or we're at Target or Wawa, which is where I get my coffee, or wherever you are, grocery store, whatever. And I said yesterday in a live that I did, Kara, I said, you know what? I love meeting people there and talking. Now, I can tell you in the first conversation, I might give them a business card, but it's very after the fact. I'm just connecting with people. So what you're telling me just fits in line with that. So, but how do you develop that relationship and ultimately tell them, hey, I'm a realtor, how can I help?
Whenever I meet somebody, I let them do 80% of the talking. And I just listen because I'm actually interested in getting to know them and I want to know who they are. Mm-hmm. So I develop a connection and a friendship. And then eventually, of course, they're going to say, so what else do you do? Or they'll become friends with you on Facebook and they can see you're a realtor. We don't have to push it in their face. And I think actually that's much higher impact than if we say, hey, me, I'm a realtor, use me.
Right. Well, I love that because, so many coaches and trainers out there say you have to follow these scripts and practice them. They say, make them your own. But the women I'm talking to say, I don't care how you change the verbiage. I feel salesy and it's not me. And so what I hear you saying, Kara, I love in that just have conversations and let them develop and let the conversation, you control it by focusing on them and really taking a genuine interest in them is what I'm hearing you say, right?
Right. And they will tell you what is important to them. And it doesn't matter what you say, only if you hit a topic that's relevant to them and that they care about, they're listening. Otherwise, it's just in one ear and out. So if they tell you about their mom who's sick, and then you should talk about that. And then that may lead into, she needs to sell her house and we need help. And then you can say, would you like me to come take a look? There's so many good segues without focusing on the business aspect.
Okay. Love that. Love that. So I understand, obviously, you've reached this certain pinnacle and this certain level. Are you still going to the office and interacting with other agents?
Oh yeah. Well, to be honest, because I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, I work from home mostly. Uh, I go to the office for settlements is about it right now. And when I go, I do enjoy the people I work with.
Okay. The
And
reason that I wanted to ask that, and I'm sorry, oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt.
no, please.
Okay. What I wanted to know was Facebook, like I'm telling you, the ladies just are seem fixated on that because, as I said, there's so much noise around that. So I'm curious, in your office, is Facebook and social media a primary way, to your knowledge, of the way people are trying to find, new clients?
That's a great question, Judy. I know one top agent who does that, and he does get a lot of business from that. There is another guy who just makes cold calls every single day for 2 hours in the morning, and he's successful doing that. Isn't that the beauty of it? There is no right answer. You have to do what you love. And again, for me, I just like to socialize. I like to throw big parties. Somebody said, "Where do you go to socialize?" And I don't know. I like to play tennis, so I go do that. Uh, I like to read books, so my friends and I hold book clubs, and we do that. Uh, Whatever you like. Again, Facebook is great. If you like doing that, do that.
Okay. Okay. I have an amazing question, and I know the answer, so I know we're going to kind of blow everybody's mind. Do you systematically work a CRM?
I'm glad you like this answer.
I love it.
I don't have any organized system. It's the worst. Again, that is not something I'm good at, so I just don't do it. And
Okay.
I'm excited about getting one in the future and helping my business develop even further.
Okay. So, but that's good. The reason I say I love that answer is because, well, one of my mantras is, ladies, I need you to take massive, imperfect, intentional action. You need to do the do. And so I think so many times we're like, oh, I really can't really start the business until I get my CRM set up and until I have everybody in my circle, all, 100 or 200 or 500 in there. So what is your system? Because you just said you got referrals from your clients and you have repeat business. And I assume that even though it's not formal, that you reach out to them, Kara, because you're that kind of person. You're a social person. So can you speak to that a little bit?
About what I do.
About, yeah, how do you keep in touch with people, even if it's not through a CRM? Do you have a regular outreach, or is it really, well, let me just say this. I've interviewed hundreds of women, and I told you this before, and virtually every single one of them is just like you. So I don't know who out there is systematically working, their CRM. Jan is, but not the way she could be. Okay. And she made almost $1 million this year. So, there's gotta be something other than the big noise we hear out there. So that's why I find that reassuring. Would it be best and optimal to have a CRM and have it systematized so that sure, of course, but you can do it. There's another way. So I was curious, what is your method, if there is one, of reaching out and staying in touch with your past clients?
Okay, this is pure honesty call here. And
Sure.
how I do it is, if I have downtime, I just think about somebody I'm thinking about, and I just text them and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Or I'll scroll through my Instagram page or Facebook page and the headlines, and I'll see what's going on in people's lives and like them and comment. Or again, I'm just super active because I get lonely if I'm in the house by myself. I need to be around other people. So, of course, I go to church every week. I have clubs that I attend, again, book clubs and tennis, and I play the violin and all these things. And so I'm just a natural social butterfly. And I will say, though, I have a friend who does the CRM thing very religiously, and she is horrified that I don't, because she gets 90% of her business from that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Let's talk about marketing materials. Here's another mind blower, I think. Okay. In preparing for today, you mentioned to me that you really don't have much in the way of personally branded marketing material, if I understood correctly. Is that right, hon?
Yeah, I I really don't.
Okay. And another interesting thing that you told me is that when you go to listing appointments, that you have very little in the way of documentation. Can you walk us through what you do on an average listing appointment?
I sometimes, if I can remember and have time after changing a diaper, I will take, listing contracts with me. I will try, if I have time, to look at the market beforehand to get an idea of that area. By now, I'm pretty familiar with most of the markets. And then I just take me. Sometimes I take my baby and I I go and just look at their house and let them talk. I let them talk. We talk so much. I love to talk. I let them talk and I listen. And to be honest with you, I am not emotionally attached to the outcome.
Hmm. That's interesting. Say that again, please, because that's important.
I am not emotionally attached to the outcome. If I get the listing, great. If I don't, I don't. I'd say I get about 95% of my listings. So it, because again, I'm interested in the person, I'm interested in the house. It's fun uh, for me. So, but I'll be honest, if I don't feel like I will be a good fit for them, I will tell them. And I go with me, I go with curiosity.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So typically when you go to a listing appointment, do you find that you're in competition, or is it for the most part these homeowners were referrals and so they kind of sort of have a warm feeling about you?
Again, I've only done this for about 3 years, so my business keeps shifting. Initially, of course, I had a lot of competition, and now I I don't as much because it's, oh, my friend says I should go with you and I will, kind of thing. And so, but I don't mind the competition. And I'd say never talk down your competition. I think one reason I do excel, perhaps I could be wrong, in my market is because I respect and am friends with many of the other real estate agents.
Okay, that's excellent. That's important. Now, I do want to ask you a question because it comes up. A lot of times people will private message me this particular point. And myself, having been a lawyer in a man's world, this really hits home with me. But have you experienced what I call really bullying, harassment, or just downright ugly, mean, unprofessional treatment by male agents?
Oh, this is such a funny story, Judy. And by the way, you're amazing. I can't believe you're a lawyer. You're a lawyer too?
Sure, yes, I am. Yeah, that's why I loved your LSAT story. You want to take the practice entrance exams. That's fun. Me too. To me, that's fun. You know, we're kind of crazy, right?
Um, but no, and so I respect you so much for doing that because that's amazing that you're in such a man's world doing that. I had two buyer's agents at one point, and so it was, and then I had a marketing person on my team, and then my assistant. So the five of us went out to lunch. This he wasn't a real estate agent; he was a home warranty seller,
Mm-hmm.
and he was an older gentleman, um, probably in his 70s. And he invited my team and me out to dinner because I was a top producer, and bought us all lunch. And then he proceeded to tell me that in front of my team, that when he first met me, he said, there is no way, she's an Asian young woman, there's no way she's going to succeed. And actually he said, yeah, he just proceeded to just degrade and degrade. And when one of my agents, who was also an Asian male, walked in, he came in a little bit later. He said, another Asian. And I mean, I'm very proud of being Asian and all this, but it was just, his whole demeanor was derogatory.
Mm.
It was my whole team of females and then my young Asian buyer's agent. And it was just so derogatory, and it's actually hilarious thinking about it. And I just, we put up with it for about 30 minutes, and I ordered the most expensive meal on the menu. And, finally I said, thank you so much for lunch, but this is ridiculous. I don't think you realize how degrading you're being, but you cannot talk to people like that. And we're going to leave. And we just left. But other than that, I really haven't had any other issues.
Okay, interesting, because I was just talking to one of the ladies yesterday, and she was talking about how she was in negotiations with a man who was just really bullying her and almost saying, it's clear that you are new to the business because you don't know how this works. I've given you, whatever he said. And she just didn't know really how to respond because she wanted to be respectful to her elder. But at the same time, she's like, well, wait a minute, I don't think what he's telling me is right, first of all. And second of all, his delivery was just really just not professional. So what advice would you have for someone, whether they're new to the biz especially, but even if you've been around for a while, but you get across the table from someone like that, what would be your best advice?
We are emotional creatures as women, and that is why we're so good at nurturing our children and nurturing relationships. I think in those situations, we just need to check our emotions and be completely logical. And of course, as a lawyer, that's easier for you to do than for other people. But I struggle with that. But I think I would say ignore everything but the main point. Just ignore it.
I love that. I love that. It's funny that you say as a lawyer, we're trained to do that, but I'm very emotionally charged. There's a few subjects I'm not passionate about. So what I found to do, ladies, if I can throw in my 2 cents on this point, is that if someone is bullying you or they're being loud or rude or even abusive, I would just be quiet, stay very calm, don't internalize it. Okay, keep it outside of you and realize it's his problem, not yours. And when there's quiet, then you'll pause a moment and say, are you finished? And then see what he says. And he go, rah, 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 rah. He might, whatever. And then you be quiet again. You say, are you finished now? May I speak now? And then you speak, and don't even necessarily address any of the baloney that he said. As Kara said, you say, well, as I was saying, we have this issue and I'd love to work it out. And I think we can. Here's how. Boom, boom, boom. What do you think? And if he just keeps pulling back, or pushing back, you need to stay calm, quiet, because when you whisper, you draw people in. If I whisper, you're going to be saying what she's saying. If I scream, you're going to be like, wah, right? So that's beautiful advice, Carrie. You got it right on. And just don't let them see you sweat. And if someone is really abusive, to me, ladies, your broker, so many of you, I feel like you don't think you know where to turn. Your broker is supposed to be the go-to person for any and every question. If it's ethics, if it's how do I best handle this situation, you need that. And if you're not getting it, then as Kara pointed out, you need a mentor, or call me, private message me. I love to save the day. It's kind of what I do. It's kind of, it's fun for me. All right.
Sorry, Judy, could I just add that
Sure.
People who are bullies are hurting. They're hurting. So I think just to recognize that actually we're the adult here, that helps.
Mm.
Like looking at a child, no matter how old they are, and just think, okay, here's somebody who is inappropriate, socially inappropriate because of their insecurities. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. I love that. And it's true. So as I said, it's not anything you've done. If they behave that way, as you say, Kara, it's on them. And so, kind of like kill them with kindness and truly love them and say, you know what, we're kind of, I know you represent your client and I represent mine, but we want to come together. We want this transaction to happen. Let's figure out how to do that. And if there's something else in the background, we really don't need to address that on this call, kind of thing. Well, let's see what else. Gosh, I'm running out of time, but there's so many other things to ask you. Well, before time is out, I just want to announce that Kara has graciously agreed to serve on the advisory board of our new company, Libby Brand Success Boutique. And when I spoke with Kara, the reason that we asked her to join us is that she shares our passion and the power that we acknowledge when women come together. So Kara, I would love you to just expound on that, because you have a beautiful philosophy of women empowering women and why that's so important, especially in real estate.
Right. I think this is the perfect business for us to get paid for doing what we love, which is connecting with people and helping people. So what a great idea to start this, Judy and Jan. I'm so proud of you, because I look at what you're doing and I think that is a monstrous project. And we need each other. We need our support when we're being bullied or when we don't know what to do. What a great resource to be able to reach out and rely on each other's experiences and strengths. And one thing I was thinking recently was how I'm just one brain and I can't do it all. I'm one person, I'm one brain, I don't know, and I can't do it all. So I have recently realized that I need to reach out. We are interpersonal human beings. We're not independent women, we're interpersonal women. So we need these networks, and Facebook does get a bad rap. Social media gets a bad rap, but it's a great thing. We can connect with people quickly and from far distances and all this. So I think in an industry where there's a lot of competition, if we could look at it more as a resource to learn from each other, mm-hmm. that's when we'll really thrive as women, as real estate agents, as working moms and businesswomen.
Okay, excellent. Do you time block? I would love to know if you time block, or kind of what an average day in the life of Kara looks like.
I live and die by my calendar. So if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. I know everybody says that. So, and because I have young children, they determine when I wake up and sort of when I have time in between. So I would say, everybody knows that part. So I will say one nugget that has helped me recently is, if you have to do something, even if it's take 30 minutes to think about what you're going to do for your husband's birthday or something. Put that in your calendar. Put it in right away and sync it from your phone to your computer.
Okay, excellent, excellent. For some reason, I can't access it's funny how when you're doing something positive, sometimes things don't work. So I'm not able to tap in on my phone for our questions that people have asked you. And I think I got to a lot of them, but ladies, if you have a question, if you could type it in the chat, I'd appreciate it. But I'll keep going with some of the couple of questions that I have. The issue of confidence, Kara, I think it's kind of hand in hand with fear. And we talked about it a little bit, but I'm curious if what's your best advice for someone who is fearful of really starting their business and actually getting out there and doing it? Short of just doing it, is mindset important for you? In other words, do you think that it is important to tell yourself, I can do this, and come from a position of strength? What are your thoughts on that?
That's the whole point, isn't it? It's all in our heads. Our whole lives, it's all in our heads. Surround yourself with people who will feed you positivity, who will tell you you can do it, and who absolutely love you. And if they don't, you need to just get away. Mm-hmm. Of course, if it's somebody you're tied to, like your husband or family or something, then I would pursue counseling.
Okay. Because I think that is tough when it could be a family member. They say, oh, how's real estate going? And they're kind of a negative person. You just really need to stay away from that. Someone asked, how did you form your team? You mentioned, I asked you earlier about the team and we talked about the admin assistant, but more recently you talked about having a kind of more junior buyer's agent. So can you tell us about that, how you're forming your team?
I think the question is, how did I fail to form my team?
Okay.
As business got overwhelming, I haphazardly started taking on buyer's agents and assistants, and I messed up. I made wrong choices for that, and so I had to let them go. And it was it was a great learning process. One thing about fear and confidence is, do not be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are the best. They are the most powerful teaching tools, obviously. So the next time you mess up, when you get that bad feeling, convert that into, what did I learn and how can I help somebody else in the future avoid that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
With the hiring, I did it haphazardly. I'm learning now. I'm reading books and I'm getting training. I hired a coach so that I can understand how to do it better. And so I'm working on that right now.
Okay, excellent. I want to switch gears a little bit. Something just popped into my head about what you said about taking your little one with you to listing appointments. And I can tell you that one time I did that. And actually I was met with, and I guess it depends on the person, right? But I was met with a glaring look. And my kid was well behaved. I mean, it's not like he was running around crazy, but I didn't get that listing. And so maybe it's just that person wasn't digging having a little one along and didn't appreciate the fact that I was, a working mom trying to do it all and do it the best way and nurture my child without, not doing what I would need to do for her if she were to become my client. How do you handle that? Have you ever met with that kind of reaction?
Yeah, and not the person for you, right? I went to $1 million listing recently, and I didn't take my kids. My husband had off, so he had them. He just brought my son in for 20 minutes so I could breastfeed him, and then she took him back, and she did not feel comfortable with me having kids because she wanted her house to be a priority, not the children, and so I can respect that. And the thing is, regardless, if that is the kind of person that client wants as their real estate agent, we're not going to be able to change the fact that we're a mother or that we're breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
So next.
Yep. Okay. Here's a good question that comes up. All right. You get a phone call on your listing, or on floor, let's say, and someone says, and put yourself back in that you're not this heavy hitter top performer, Kara, but you're in your first year of real estate. So you're on floor and someone says, hello, I would like to see listing at 123 Main Street. With pretending you're there, but with your mind that you have now because you're so experienced, how would you recommend that these ladies handle that type of call?
I would definitely ask questions and say, oh, okay, so do you live in this area? Are you from this area? What is your circumstance? What about this type of what about this house is attractive for you? Are there any other homes you'd like to see in the area? I lead with questions. And I think if it's somebody who's dangerous, you will know that right away. And then also, to prepare yourself for the meeting and to best serve them, you need to learn and garner more information from them. So you have to ask good questions.
Right. And I love that you said 80% of the time or more, you are listening to what the prospect or the client tells you, right? And how I was taught is that we have two ears and one mouth. Use it at least in that proportion, which is really good to remember, because that helps it also to be more conversational and not salesy. Oh, are you ready to buy now? I mean, it's ridiculous, right? So, but would you on that call agree to meet them at the home? Or do you think it's best to have the prospective buyer come into the office first? What is your routine in that regard?
I'd say it's individual. It just depends. And I think I try to accommodate them. If they're a very busy professional and they just want to see the house, then and you feel comfortable doing that, then do that. If you feel slightly uncomfortable, take somebody with you, right? But and then if they want to be more thorough and they're more analytical and they want to understand the process better, go out to coffee or go to your office.
Okay. Okay. Now you mentioned about professionals. I know that one of your specializations is medical professionals because you're near Hershey and your husband, I think, works at Hershey Medical Center. So, but you don't need to have a doctor for a husband or in the family. So I wanted you, if you would, to please speak to that. I mean, is that your target market? Are you putting yourself out there to be the go-to for those Hershey medical docs coming into the practice? If you could speak to that a little bit, I think that would be very useful.
Judy, I think I need you as my coach to help me figure out if I should.
Thank you.
I guess I should be. I don't really think too much about it. I'm very present focused. Who are my clients that I'm supposed to serve now? And I give them quality. I'm not worried about quantity. I'm worried about quality. And I focus on my current clients and what I can do for them. And that's my MO. And when I do that, they will go and find other people for me. They just happen to be, a lot of them happen to be physicians. But I like where you're going. I should do that more. I should focus on that population more in a more systematic way.
Yes, I think so. And so, ladies, but take this to heart and understand that Kara has, what did she do? Over 15 million last year. And is it just you and the other buyer's agent, or who else is on your team? Kara, I want to make sure I'm clear on that.
I just have a virtual assistant right now, basically, because she moved out of the area.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. So ladies, when I talk about imperfect action, and Kara, I mean, absolutely no disrespect to you, but imperfect action, you don't, ideally to work optimally, we should have systems in place. We should have, think about, as Kara mentioned earlier, what are my interests? Who do I really want to work with? And absolutely come from a place of power and control to know that if you're talking with someone at a listing appointment and they're mean and you just don't get a good vibe, the best thing you can do for those of us that have been in the business a while is sometimes say no. Because sometimes you get a client and they just yank your chain. They'll ultimately pull the listing. They'll just kind of drive you absolutely crazy. And when we're talking about a team, Jan's team is in the top 3 in her region. This year, she may have been top number 1. And so there is a method to the madness, ladies, on team building. And we're putting together a program for you on that that's going to come out in 2018. So lots of exciting things. Now, in the last 2 minutes, Kara, I just want to open it up to you to say, any other nuggets of advice that we did not get to in the past hour that you care to share?
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much, Judy, for this opportunity. I think whenever we have those clients who are giving us help, I want us to all embrace that and recognize that that is our opportunity to make a really big impression on them. Because in retrospect, the people who have been the hardest to work with, now they always come back to me, and they don't treat me the same way.
Interesting. And so, if I understand correctly, you're saying you may have said no to somebody. They worked with somebody else. They realized, yikes, I need to go back to Kara because she knows what she's talking about. Is that it in a nutshell?
That, or if you did close a transaction, but they did not treat you very nicely, but you kept self-respect and other respect, people will not forget that.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Well, Kara, listen, on behalf of all the ladies on the call and the hundreds and hundreds that are going to be listening to this in the replay, I want to thank you so much for your time and your insight. And ladies, Kara is a member of our Girls Guide group. So feel free to post your questions there. and always private message me. I thank you all for watching. Kara, once again, thank you, and make it an amazing day, ladies. Be genuinely you and know that you're in control of the business. Enjoy it, and we'll see you next time. Take good care.